Hey, this is the video about teaching my country to another person. This is my wife, Candace. And we're going to start off by having Candace ask me the 3 questions she had after viewing my website.
The first question I had was, what types of transportation do they use? Is it cars? Is it bikes? Buses? So, what's their main mode of transportation that they use?
Well, in Benin, they don't have a lot of personal vehicles. Most of people just walk or ride bicycles, and then they do have various forms of public transportation like taxis and buses in different forms that they can use to get around the country. Mainly public transportation or walking.
Okay, my other question was, what types of religions are practiced in Benin?
There's a lot of Christians, a lot of Muslims. There's also many traditional there's a lot of different traditional African religions
Like,
that are represented. None in particular, just a lot of various type. One religion that's prevalent in Benin is voodooism. A lot of the country practices voodoo.
and my last question is what languages are spoken in Benin?
French is the official dialect in Benin. However, there are also 45 or 54 different types of languages that are spoken, but French is the officially used language of the country.
Okay.
So one of the main things which we've learned throughout the course, and as we have looked at Benin, is the Millennium Developmental Goals. And these were goals made by the United Nations in 2000, where the world leaders came together and talked about what the various countries needed and where each country should be, and where they needed to get those countries before 2015. So they sat down and drew up a plan for each country and said that each country should be at a specific goal point before 2015. The first Millennium Developmental Goal was to eradicate poverty and hunger throughout the country, and the goal point was to meet at least half, eradicate that number by half, and Benin has been able to complete that goal, that Millennium Developmental Goal. They completed it about 5 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah, they did really well in getting that done. The second goal is to achieve universal primary education, and currently they have gone about halfway for that. At the rate of progress that they have been achieving, they will probably just fall short in 2015 of meeting their goal. It'll be a little bit short, but I think they will eventually keep going and meet that goal shortly thereafter. The third goal is to promote gender equality, and this is another one that Benin has done really well at getting done. They were able to meet their goal and finish it up earlier than the 2015 date. The fourth goal is to reduce child mortality, and currently they've worked really hard on that, and they've gotten it very close to being completed at their goal. But they'll just like the universal education, I think they're going to be just short. They're not going to make it there by the 2015 date, but they should be able to get it shortly thereafter because they're going to be very close if they don't meet it. The fifth goal is maternal health, and this is one of the goals that Benin has really struggled with. They, since the goals were developed, they haven't improved at all with that goal. In fact, it's probably gotten a little bit worse, and for various reasons that include um, poor hospitals. Even if they have trained doctors, they don't have enough emergency space to do their operations. They don't have the equipment they need to perform the type of operations to save the mother's life. So this one has been a very big challenge for Benin. It's one that really needs, which they really need to work on and focus on. The sixth goal is to combat HIV, AIDS, malaria, and other diseases. And this one is probably the biggest factor that Benin is having problems with. Instead of decreasing, or even like the maternal health is increasing a little bit, this one has increased a lot. This is a very big problem that Benin faces. It's probably the biggest problem that Benin has at the moment, and they're just not being able to find a way to stop it, or even start to prevent it and then decrease the amount of people who have it. It's their biggest problem. The seventh goal is to ensure environmental stability, and according to the most recent statistic, Benin did meet that goal. They were able to get it done and provide drinking water, safe drinking water for the population, or I think the goal is at least half the population, and they've been able to achieve that. The very last is a global partnership for development, and this is where Benin works with outside countries and tries to um, get a partnership going with them to help them develop their country more. And they have started exporting more, and they should meet their goal by 2015. They have a year left to do it, and I think they'll probably get there, and they'll probably make it. For how many goals there are, I think that they had 15 years to try and get all these goals, these 8 goals done, and I think that's a good number. However, it could be problematic simply because it's going to take several years to try and get one of the problems done, and some countries might have a hard time trying to focus on more than one at a time. Like Benin, they've met 3 of their goals. They haven't had any progress in 2 of them, and they'll probably get the other 3 almost completed. But still, it's probably hard for them to try and get all of them done, so maybe fewer goals might benefit, or the same number of goals over a longer period of time, depending on the country's development and the stability. Right now, the main thing that's needed in Benin is for the government to focus on HIV and AIDS, which and other diseases, which they are doing, and they currently had a bill signed to get them a lot of money to put towards education and prevention for HIV and AIDS to help try and slow that down and start trying to reverse it. Probably another thing that's needed in the country, and it's a little bit harder for them to regulate, is the corruption that's in Benin's government, and mainly its police force. A lot of things which are affecting like gender equality, primary education, universal primary education in Benin, is that a lot of things happen that should be punished by the law, but because of the corruption in it, the offenders don't get punished, and the victim is usually unable to come forward because nothing's going to happen. So that's something that's been really difficult and probably needs to be brought up and worked on in the country. Um, the country overall is improving. I think they'll continue to improve, and I think that it's going to meet the rest of its goals even after the mark. They'll try and finish up on the goals, and I think that they will continue and try and meet the main problems that I've talked about and try and get them completed. Um, as far as the future of Benin goes, I think that it'll continue to develop a partnership with their outside countries and neighboring countries to try and boost their economy. I think that they'll set other goals to eradicate the other problems that they have, and that eventually their country won't be a third world country anymore, but they'll bring it up at poverty. That's
Sounds good.